Hello and good evening, everyone. Are you able to see me? If you are, please comment so I can start. Because yesterday there was some technical glitches, and we was not able to conduct our first class. So if you are able to see me and this lecture is available to you, let me know so I can start today's lecture. Okay. Now, yeah. So yesterday, we have tried, means that was supposed to be first session, but because of some technical glitches, we have abandoned that session and we are starting this session freshly from today itself. And as it is mentioned here, it is SEBI special. Means in this series, we are going to cover all SEBI specific topics, and that is going to be available on YouTube free of cost for everyone. So we get benefited from this series, and in this series we are going to discuss all these SEBI specific topic. They are SEBI specific topic, but actually they are basic fundamental topics of subject of economics. And I have seen that some basic questions which are being mentioned here as a SEBI specific topic, from these topics, questions are being asked continuously in other exam, especially grade B also. Right. So anyone who is preparing for other exam like NABARD and grade B, RBI grade B, they can also go through these topics, because whenever these topics will be there, all related things is going to be discussed. For example, when I will discuss the market structure, when I will discuss the market structure, I'll explain you what is happening in the telecom sector right now. You have seen that if you have read the today's newspaper, you have seen that the government is going to take around 32% shares of Vodafone, right? So what is the issue? How government is going to compel, or government is offering this thing? So if you understand the market structure, if you know the term what is oligopoly, right? If you know this thing oligopoly, or you know this term duopoly, it is going to be easy for you to understand what is happening in India's telecom sector, right? So a lot of things are there here which is going to be very interesting in terms of for your understanding of entire subject of economics, even for the other exams also, right? So let's start with very basic. Jeet has a question: is it okay covering most of the topics through MCQ for SEBI? Yes, you can cover through MCQ, but MCQ is like what? This is the syllabus, right? This is the SEBI specific syllabus. So they are going to pick, sometimes they are going to pick question from here, sometimes they are going to pick question from here, they are going to sometimes pick question from here, right? So MCQ is scattered first of all, so it is very difficult to analyze from the MCQs. And MCQ, you are only going to know what happened, right? You are actually not able to say the complete syllabus. So as I told you, we are going to conduct this syllabus entirely on YouTube, and it is going to be available for you on our channel. So I think just going with the MCQs, it's not going to be the good strategy, right? You can go through these lectures, and after that you can solve those MCQs. It is going to be better for you. Okay. So yes, it is also going to be important for grade B, right? Because if you will see here, just look at the syllabus. Just look at the syllabus. If you look at the syllabus closely, these topics from here: national income, demand and supply of money, balance of payment, foreign exchange market, monetary and fiscal policy, non-banking financial institutions. All these topics are in the Grade B exam also. And even some basic questions of demand and supply, they have asked in the Grade B exam also. So it's also going to be very important for you. Fine. Yes, Anshu. At the same time, I'm going to conduct this classes. Now for all students, please now focus on the lecture. I'll attend your questions after some point of time. Now just focus on the lecture. I'll attend your question later. Fine. Now focus. So we are first going to start the topic of demand and supply, right? We are going to first start with demand and supply, and first we will take the demand part, right? So when we take the demand part, first of all, it is very important to understand what is the meaning of demand in subject of economics, right? Because there are similar kind of the term related to demand, right? In general, there are some similar terms, but in economics we use the term demand very specifically, right? For example, in general, demand, in general, not in economics, but in general, demand and desire, right? Demand, desire, even wish. So in general, people interchangeably use this term demand, desire, and wish. However, when we deal this term demand in economics, we deal with a specific notion. There is a specific notion for demand. We do not take means interchangeably demand, desire, and wishes. So when we explain demand means ability to purchase. Ability to purchase. So demand is something like that, ability to purchase. For example, the same example I have given yesterday. If somebody have watched yesterday's lecture, that was not there, means uh, I want to purchase Swift Desire car, right? At the same time, I'm also making statement, I want to purchase Rolls Royce Phantom Ghost model, right? So these are the two statement, the first statement and the second statement. Second statement, more or less at present, it is showing my desire or wish, because I love that car, right? But that car cost around 8 to 10 crores with taxes and all. It is going to be cost around 8 to 10 crores. So at present, I do not have an ability to purchase that car, right? So that car is my desire or wish, but it cannot be called as my demand. Means I am not able to demand. Whereas Swift Desire, which is going to be maximum 8 to 10 lakh, and I'm having the capacity to purchase that car, so it can be called as a demand in the economy, right? And remember that economy run on demand and not desire, right? We do not deal the subject of economics on the basis of wishes and desire. We deal the subject of economics on the basis of demand, right? So I hope this point is clear. What is demand and desire? We deal with the demand, and demand is what? Ability to purchase. Fine. Is it clear? Is it clear here? I hope means it's a very simple thing. I hope it's clear. So once we have defined the demand, now we have to go to where? Law of demand. We have to move towards the law of demand. We understood the demand. Now we are moving towards law of demand. And when we have to define law of demand, it is defined as, this law is defined as, if other variables, other variables like supply, income, government policies, etc. If other variables are constant, then if price will be increased, demand will decrease. And if price will be decrease, demand will increase. So we can say that demand is in inverse proportion to price. D is reflecting demand and P is reflecting price, right? So if we are going to take other variables constant, so this is the definition. Why we want to understand the law of demand, why the law of demand is here? Why? The first question is why. I have written the definition, but this definition I'm going to discuss. But before discussing this definition, why there is law of demand? Actually, I told you demand is what? Demand is ability to purchase. Demand is what? Demand is ability to purchase. So we want to know how our ability of purchase is going to be impacted. Right? What are the factors which are going to impact our ability of purchase? So when we saw that, means our ability of purchase, we try to find what are the factors which are impacting our ability to purchase, that is demand. We found that it is the price of good which we want to purchase, goods or services which we want to purchase, its price is going to impact its supply, whether that good is available or not. Income of the person who want to purchase, right? Its income. Government policies, right? So there are various factors. And one more thing, consumer behavior, consumers behavior, right? For example, consumer behavior, very interesting thing, and it is coming with the psychology also, right? So for example, on tobacco product, it is clearly mentioned, even the pictorial presentation is also there. It is means it's dangerous for you, but still people are purchasing, right? So consumer behavior is also important. So all these factors are going to impact the demand, right? All these factors are going to impact the demand, that is ability of purchase. So if we want to know, how this price is going to impact the demand, if we want to know how this price is going to impact the demand, we can see that apart from price, there are other factors also, which have a huge impact on our ability of purchase, that is demand. They have a huge impact. But now, at present, at first, we are interested to know how our ability to purchase, that is demand, is going to be impacted from price. So, in order to understand this thing, we said that we are going to take all these factors constant. What we are going to do? We are going to take all other factors constant. So we took all these things as a constant, and when we took all these factors constant, what we found that this, if other variables are constant, then demand and price are in inverse proportion. Demand and price are in inverse proportion. Fine. So this is the law. But before moving forward, I just want to let you know one interesting thing. Sometimes, rather than using this term, other variables are constant. They use ceteris paribus. So this French term is used, ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus, this term is used. So what it means that, because in the question they are going to make this a statement, ceteris paribus, then demand will be directly proportional to the price, inversely proportional to the price. They will make some force statement, right? And then student get confused what ceteris paribus means. Ceteris paribus is a French word which means that other variables are constant, right? Other variables are constant. So many of you who are preparing for other exams also, and they are studying about Constitution of India, right? So there is a term when we study the fundamental rights, there is a term habeas corpus, right? Habeas corpus. So habeas corpus is a French term. Actually, the law which we study in India that have a lot of French term, because European law, which is basically based on Anglo-Saxon kind of philosophy, where a lot of French term is also being used while formulating the law, and these terms are also incorporated in our constitutional discussion, right? So habeas corpus, ceteris paribus, and amicus curia, right? So sometimes when court is dealing with some kind of the technical issue, right? For example, there is a bank related thing, right? So bank related thing, and there is a issue of kind of transactions where judge do not know things in the technical manner, right? Just don't know the things in the technical manner. So in order to inform the court is going to appoint amicus curia, which means friend of court, the friend of court, and that friend of court, the person, the technical person, is going to inform all related technical things while judges are taking that case. So amicus curia, habeas corpus, right? These are the some French terms which in general they are being used. So here ceteris paribus, which means that which means that other variables are constant. So what we found under the law of demand, is what? Yes, yes, Anshul. Taste and preferences are also being there. Lot of things are there, but right now we are focusing only uh, price and demand. And we focus on price and demand. We found that demand and price are in inverse proportion. They are in inverse proportion. We found that. But when we found that demand is in inverse proportion to price, which simply means that if the price will increase, demand will decrease. But now the next question is, how much demand is going to be impacted? What will be the impact on demand when price is going to be increased? So suppose that we are going to mention change in the change in demand, change in demand delta D, and change in price delta P. What we want to know, we just got this information from law of demand. If price is going to increase, demand will decrease. If price will be decreased, demand will increase. Means price and demand are in inverse proportion. Price and demand are in inverse proportion. We got this thing will come only when the other variables are constant. So other variables are constant, demand and price are going to be in the inverse proportion. Our next objective is to find what kind of the possibility will be there, what kind of the possibility will be there in terms of when we change the price. When we change the price, what will happen in the demand? Definitely it is going to increase, but to what extent? For example, one possibility is the amount of change in the price. The amount of change in the price is going to be equal to amount of change in the demand. That means if 10% change in the price, we can see the change in the demand is 10%. Other possibility is if the price is going to be change, then we can see there is greater change in the demand. That is one possibility. Other possibility is what? Other possibility is the change in price. We have changed the price, but the change in the price and change in the demand. Price is increased to 20%, but there is only 2% change in the demand. We have changed the price only 10%, and there is 30% change in the demand, right? So there are a lot of possibilities, right? Means the amount of change in the price and amount of change in the demand can be different. As per law of demand, they are inverse in the proportion, but we want to know to what extent. So these possibility, three possibility will be there. Is there any other possibility? Is there any possibility? Yes, there is one more possibility. Possibility number one, possibility number two, possibility number three. The fourth possibility is what? The fourth possibility is change in the price, but there will be no change in the demand. There will be no change in the demand. Right? There is no change in the demand. Another possibility is change in the price. We have changed the price and delta D become infinity. What it means that there is a small change in the price or there is slightest change in the price and demand is completely change. Demand is completely change. So last two cases, I told you what when we change the price, there will be change in the demand, right? Now we want to know that to what extent demand will be changed. So we are trying to explore the possibilities regarding this. We are trying to explore the possibility in this regard. We came to this conclusion that there are five kind of the possibility. Number one, equal change, greater change in demand, less change in the demand, no change in the demand, and there is extreme change in the demand. Okay, five possibilities. Can any tell can he can anyone tell me example of case number 4? Case number 4 where price is going to be changed but there will be no change in the demand. Whatever the price, people are ready to pay for it. Any in general example? Can anyone answer here? No one? Can anyone answer this question regarding case number 4? What about salt used for human consumption? Yes, salt. Right? Salt, sugar. So there are, means you just have to imagine ki when this will be possible. This will be possible only when there is a kind of good for which people do not want to change their demand, right? They do not want to change their demand. Fine. So we have to explore what kind of the goods are there for which people do not want to change their demand. So definitely there are going to be those goods who are essential for human life, right? They are being essential for human life. So because they are essential for human life, that is why people do not want to change their demand if there will be change in the price, right? So again, we are not strictly going by this notion. We are not strictly going by this notion, because if we will go strictly by this notion, there is nothing is there for which we can change the price. For example, suppose that the price of salt is 45 rupees for per kg, right? 45 rupees per kg. If the price is going to be 90, if price is going to be 90, right, double the price, the human consumption will be remain same. Human consumption of salt will be remain same. But if the price is going to be like 900 per kg, 900 per kg, then definitely there will be some change in the demand. There will be slight change in the demand. Are going to be more cautious about the availability of salt. So if you'll just imagine, if the price of salt is going to be 900 rupees per kg, then what people start doing at the time of festival, rather than giving kaju katli or kaju sweets, they will start going to give the salt, right, as a gift, right? Because it is going to be very means it's going to be available rarely, and it's very costly. So people are generally used to give only those things which are costly in the nature, right? So definitely there will be a change in the demand. So even when we talk about salt, sugar, milk kind of thing, then we took only this case. Case number 3, there is no as such thing for case number 4. There is no as such thing for case number 4. Only case number 3 will be applicable. Price of price of the good is going to be changed, right? Then there will be some change in the demand, even there will be slightest change. Definitely the price means definitely demand is going to be changed, but it is not going to be happen like this. There will be no change in the demand. There will be slightest change in the demand. So we took these two cases, 4 and 5, as an exceptional case. As an exceptional case, right? They are not general cases, they are exceptional cases, and we will deal with them when we will define the goods. We will define the goods. For example, I told you now, there are some goods who are essential for the life, and because they are essential for the life, if their price is going to increase, in general their demand is not going to change. But if there will be huge increase in the price, then definitely there will be slight changes in the demand. So now, if we want to define what essential goods, if we want to define what is essential goods, so we can say that essential goods are those goods when their price will be changed. When their price will be changed, the change in the demand is going to be less than change in the price. So these goods are basically essential goods. And for example, in just today's newspaper, Haryana government has enforced ASMA, right? Essential Commodities Management Act. Essential Commodities Management Act. Because suppose that some industries they are making essential goods like fuel, it's also essential, right, for the life. So some industries they are manufacturing or they are supplying essential goods, and they will go for a strike, right? They will go for a strike, or there is an in general strike, and in the in general strike or protest, protesters are blocking entry and exit of all goods. So it is going to be very difficult for the common people. It is going to be very difficult for the common people. So that is why government of India have a law, and it is going to enforce that law. Under that enforcement of that law, government is going to say that ki you cannot block, and if you are going to block, then we will use force against you, right, to make essential commodity in the flow. Example, medicine. So medical store people cannot go for the general strike. If they will go for the general strike, then what will happen? Government is going to enforce the Essential Commodities Management Act. And under that act, that shopkeeper is going to be forced by the government to open his shop, otherwise he will be punished by law, right? So we can understand the nature of essential commodities from this law of demand. I hope what I have explained till then here is clear for you. If it is clear, please comment. Is it clear? Okay, so if it is clear, what we will do next, from here we can define other kind of the goods also. From here we can define other goods of all also with the help of law of demand. So what we will do here, we will do this thing simultaneously. We are going to deal with the demand, and at the same time I am also going to define certain type of goods also, right? So now when this law of demand came, actually this law of demand came in 17th century, right? So even this law is even older than what, this law is even older than the subject of economics, because the subject of economics originated from in England, right? And who is known as the father of economics? Can anybody tell me who is known as the father of economics? Adam Smith. Adam Smith is known as father of economics, right? And his book was very famous. Even till then, today it is considered as one of the best book. Again, one more term like ceteris paribus, we use one term that is magnus opus. Magnus opus. So whenever we'll say the best, one of the best, so alternatively we can say that magnus opus, right? Wealth of Nation, an inquiry into the wealth of nation, the book written by Adam Smith in 18th century, and that book become a starting point of the subject of economics, right? And one more interesting fact for you, even the book came in the 18th century, but it was only early 90s, or even somewhere around 1910, somewhere around 1910, the term economics is being used to study subject of economics. From 1910 onwards, the term economics is being used. Before that, it was studied from 18th century to 1910, it was studied as political economy. Political economy, right? So it was studies as a political economics when Alfred Marshall book Principle of Economics came, and he in his book emphasized that we should study economics rather than putting the prefix of political economy, and from there then people realize that we should study as a economics rather than political economy. So it is 20th century from where we are studying economics as economics, otherwise it was studied as a political economy, right? And it was started in late 18th century, right? And who was the considered as a father of economics? It is considered as Adam Smith. Fine. So even before Adam Smith, this law was in existence. This law was in existence. Adam Smith has compiled all these things in his book, and then the systematic study of economics was started. So why I'm mentioning this thing? Why I'm mentioning this thing? First thing, the knowledge is going to create some interest to know more, get more systematic information. One reason. Another reason is, as I'm telling you, the law of demand was in existence, right? But it is not kind of the law which was not challenged. That law of demand was challenged, right? Law of demand was challenged, and to challenge this law, a person who challenged this law of demand, people say that ki, no, when we say the law of demand, under the law of demand other variables are constant. So he said that ki, okay, fine, even if you are going to take other variables are constant, even then sometimes this law didn't work. This law didn't work. So people said, how you can say that, how you can say that this law didn't work? So he has given the example of Irish famine. Irish famine, right? So to understand his example, just giving you one more info. Staple diet in Ireland, people's staple diet is potato. Potato is also very essential for India, means especially in the northern India, but it is not kind of staple diet in India. Wheat and rice. In northern India, wheat, whereas in southern India, rice. So it is a part of everyday's meal, staple diet, right? So we use the term staple diet. So similarly in Ireland, potato is a kind of staple diet. So he has given the example of Irish famine. So how he has explained, to make you understand, I'm giving you an example. I'm going to simplify, and through example I'm going to let you know what he explained. He said that there is a potato and it is a staple diet, whereas sweet potato, sweet potato is also used, especially in times of winter. It is largely used in every part of India, especially in the northern India. It is used at very large level, sweet potato, because it's rich in the carbohydrates. But sweet potato is a kind of thing which we cannot use to make curries. We generally use to make curries through potato. So it is a food, but because of extra sweetness in the sweet potato, it is not used as a staple diet in general, right? So this man, his name was Lord Giffen. So, Lord Giffen, I hope there are some people here who know about this Giffen goods. So, for them, please quiet and let's enjoy this lecture. So, Lord Giffen was the person, and he has given the example of Irish famine. And under this example, he said that potato is a staple diet of people of Ireland, whereas sweet potato is also used, but it is not used in such a manner as a staple diet in Ireland, right? So it is inferior substitute of potato. Inferior substitute means if people are not able to purchase potato, only then they will go for sweet potato. People who have very low income, right, and because of the other constraints, income constraints, and other problems they are facing, they have other expenditures to fulfill, and they are not able to purchase the potato, only then they will purchase the sweet potato, right? So that is why sweet potato is an inferior substitute of potato. So suppose that the price of potato, for just for your understanding, right, for just your understanding, I'm considering the price of the potato is 40 rupees, whereas it is inferior and having low price, the price of sweet potato is 20 in Ireland. In Ireland, just give you an example. So it is the normal market price. But when famine struck in Ireland, then what happened? The entire whatever the potato was being produced, right? Because of the famine, entire cultivation was disturbed, and there is a low availability of potato as well as sweet potato, right? Because of the famine, entire crop was distorted, and there is a low availability of the potato. So supply of both is decreased in the market, and that is why the almost double price become almost double, right? So as per law of demand as per law of demand, you can use this interchangeably. So as per the law of demand, what should happen? As per the law of demand, because the price of potato is increased, price of potatoes increased, so demand decreased, and that we seen in the Irish famine. This happened because the price of potato increased, its demand decreased. But when we saw this example, we found that actually demand increased. Demand increased, right? So demand increased. Why? Because when the price of potato and sweet potato both increased, potato and sweet potato, the price of both goods increased, and then especially those people whose income is remain constant and they are not able to make more money, right? So for them, what happened? Because the price is increased and they have very limited income, right? So they cannot afford this 80 rupees potato, so that is why they have shifted their demand from potato to sweet potato, right? So, what started happening when the price of sweet potato and potato was low? Everyone was able to purchase the potato, and that is why they are not purchasing the sweet potato. But when the price of both goods is increased, then what happened? Then people started shifting from potato to sweet potato, right? And that is why when the price is increased, demand is also increased. So he has given the example कि law of demand is not applicable universally. Even other variables are constant, it is not applicable universally. It is applicable only for certain things. With this example, now the question is what? Ki earlier, what we are doing, we are giving the law of demand for all goods. We are defining this law of demand for all goods. But this person, Lord Giffen, said that ki for all goods, it is not applicable. It is not applicable for all goods. So this phenomenon given by Lord Giffen insisted to define goods. Define goods, because there are some goods who do not follow this law of demand, right? So in order to define the goods, I hope you got this clarity why the need was arises. The need was arises earlier. We have a law of demand. Price is inversely proportional to demand, and people think that it is a universal law. But when Lord Giffen proved that it is not always applicable, then the need arises to define goods, right? So first what we did, we said normal goods. Normal goods are those goods who follow the law of demand. That means for them price is inversely proportional to the demand. Price is inversely proportional to the demand, right? Then we defined inferior goods. Inferior goods, and they do not follow the law of demand, and price and demand is in direct proportion. Price in demand in direct proportion, right? And to give a kind of respect to that man who has given this phenomena, so sometimes inferior goods are also known as Giffen goods, right? So inferior goods and Giffen goods, right? So like Lord Giffen, on his name the goods are defined as Giffen goods. There was another person, his name was Veblen. Veblen said that this law of demand exception, this law of demands exception is not only applicable for inferior goods. According to Veblen, this exception to law of demand is also applicable for luxury goods. Means if you are going to increase the price of luxury goods, their demand is not going to decrease. See the luxury car, see the luxury phone like iPhone, right? iPhone 12. In this way, there are the camera. Maybe in other phone, it will be like this, three cameras, right? So means take it just lightly. Or there are the iPhone users. Don't mind. Just give an example of Apple. In India, it is considered as a luxury good. Not only in India, even in other part of the world, it is a luxury kind of the good. But especially in India, if you have Apple iPhone, then definitely the signature ringtone and that mirror selfie, what it is going to show your luxury. So people do not purchase the luxury goods like car, mobile phones, and other things because they are essential. That luxury goods are going to show your what capability, strength, and your most importantly status, right? Means the watch of any company, means Titan watch and Rolex, both are going to show the time, right? Both are going to show the time, but the point is the person who is wearing the Rolex watch, Listen my statement very carefully. The person who is wearing the Rolex watch, that watch is also showing that person's time. It is not just showing the time, it is also showing the person's time, right? So this is why this psychological feeling of humans compel them to go for luxurious goods, right? And they are ready to pay even the price is going to increase, right? So sometimes we have to some we must have some luxuries, because it is also going to show that what, it's my time, it's not just a time, it is also my time, because I'm having this ability. So this is one of the human nature. That is why people go for luxury goods. So again, luxury goods also do not follow this law of demand. And because this phenomenon was explained by Veblen, and that is why we will call it as a Veblen goods. So gold will be luxury goods or normal good? Gold is going to be the luxury good or Veblen good? Sorry, luxury good or normal good? Obviously, gold is going to be what? Gold is going to be the Veblen good. So remember that there are some goods who do not follow the law of demand. So when we are going to explain type of goods on the basis of law of demand, they are of this three type: normal good, inferior good, and luxury good. So when we are means somebody is going to ask ki on the basis of law of demand, there are three type of goods: normal goods, inferior goods, and luxury good. And one more thing, the cases which I have explained here, right? The possibility number one, possibility two, and three, it is for normal goods. It is for normal goods. Why? Because normal goods follow the law of demand, and if they follow the law of demand and we will change the price, then there may be equal change in the demand, or there will be more change in the demand, or there will be less change in the demand, right? So we follow these cases here, and on this basis I'm also going to explain you the concept of elasticity, but elasticity will be taken later. I hope you understood till then here, right? Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay, so if it is clear, now we will move towards the demand curve. Generally, they will not give the curve in the question paper, but maybe there will be a question on demand curve, right? For example, as according to the law of demand, demand curve will be even they are not going to mention the other variable. According to the law of demand, demand curve will be upward sloping, downward sloping, parallel to the demand axis, or parallel perpendicular to the demand axis. Such kind of the question maybe they are going to ask. So that questions are basically based on demand curve, right? So now we are moving towards the demand curve, right? Demand, price. And here we are going to follow first law of demand, and if we will follow the law of demand, demand is going to be inverse proportion of the price. So for the demand curve, we can take any of these three, right? But first we are going to explain, I'm going to explain you about simple demand curve, and simple demand curve is based on normal goods, and normal goods do follow the law of demand. So suppose that initially price is low, price is low, price is P1. And because price is low, demand will be high, that is dx, right? Price increase from P1 to P2, delta P, P2 minus P1, right? Price is increased, and this price increase is 10%, right? Price is 10%, and we are simply considering the change in the price is equal to change in the demand. We are having this kind of understanding. We are taking this very simple case in first. Gradually we will move to other cases also. What the simplest case we have taken to understand the law of demand curve, first we are taking for normal goods. First we will understand the demand curve of normal goods, and as demand curve for the normal goods, and normal goods follow the law of demand, so we are taking this case, demand is inversely proportional to the price, right? And if demand is going to change as the change in the price in inverse proportion, we assume that the change in the demand is equal to the change in the price. So if the price is increased by 10%, demand is also going to decrease by 10%, that is D1, right? We again increase the price to P3, demand is decreased to D2. As we are increasing the price, every time, demand is decreasing, right? And we are getting this points on the curve, right? We are getting these points on the curve in this manner. Every time price is increased, demand is decreasing, right? We are getting the curve in this manner. So if we will take all these points, we will get this kind of the curve. Here it is in the straight line. Here it is in the straight line because we are considering exact change. We are considering exact change, right? But if we will take this case, what case? If we will take this case, price is greater than, then the curve is going to be changed. But we will deal this case later. First we are taking only this simplest case, and in this simple case we've got this demand curve, straight line, right? Now question is, this demand curve is upward sloping or downward sloping, right? This demand curve is not perpendicular to the demand axis, it is not parallel to demand axis. This is demand axis, this is price axis, right? On y-axis we have taken the price, and x-axis we have taken the demand. So two cases are eliminated. It is neither perpendicular or parallel to demand axis. These two cases are eliminated. Now it is down sloping or upward sloping. The person who is standing here, the person who is standing here, for him, and one person, it is standing here, right? So for him, he is looking from this side, and he said that it is what? It is upward sloping. It is upward sloping. The person who is looking from here, it is going down this side, and he is saying down sloping. So all those students who do not have an idea of this subject, they are always confused. It is upward sloping or downward sloping. Should I look from this side or should I look from this side? This side it is showing what down sloping, from this side it is showing upside. So just finish this confusion. Whenever, listen very carefully, whenever you have to find out the slope of the curve, you have to take it from here. And from here, he is in right position and he is in wrong position. From this side, you have to see the curve and it is down sloping. As we are moving this side, its slope is getting what? Downwards. So we must have to see the curve always from origin point. For example, if this is the curve, if this is the curve, so from point origin point it is moving in this way. So it is upward sloping curve. So this curve is upward sloping and this curve is downward sloping. So always remember this point: demand curve is down sloping curve. Got this idea? Got this understanding? Demand curve is downward sloping curve. So always remember the demand curve is downward sloping curve, right? Okay. Now, as I told you, first we will take the simplest case, right? So as per the simplest case, demand curve is always down sloping. Before taking other cases, before taking other cases, I will introduce the law of supply, because we have to take other cases in supply also. In supply curve also, we have to take those laws. And I told you I'll explain you about elasticity, right? So when I'll take the elasticity part, I will explain you this: delta P is greater than delta D, delta P is less than delta P, all the cases I will take it there. And when you will understand the elasticity, right? If you have heard that tax to GDP ratio, right? So tax to GDP ratio. So tax to GDP curve is inelastic curve in India. So tax to GDP ratio is inelastic curve in India, whereas it is elastic in Japan. So if you know that term elasticity, you will immediately get what I mean to say about Indian economy. I made a very big statement. In India, demand curve, sorry, the tax to GDP ratio is inelastic, whereas in Japan, tax to GDP ratio is elastic. So if anyone understand elasticity, he will immediately get the idea of what I mean to say. Whereas the people who do not understand elasticity, they have to check it, what it is. So that fundamental thing is very important for the point of understanding of economy. So we will understand elasticity also, but first we will complete law of supply. So law of demand, law of supply, then elasticity, then we will consider the price factor and other things in this part. So right now time is up and we have to go for other class also, that is for grade B class, which will start at 9 p.m. So I'm winding up this session, and if you have any question, you can ask me before winding up this session. I'll take 5 to 10 minutes to take your questions. So as means for today's class, it's over for today. I'll explain the rest of the thing in tomorrow's class. If you have any question, please ask me. I'll answer your question. Thank you, Anshu. No questions? Okay, fine. So I am winding up this session for today. We will start from supply tomorrow, and after supply, I'll explain the supply curve and this elasticity part also there. Okay. So thank you very much for today's session.